Holy crap, that whole time I was sitting on a goddamn grasshopper. Ugh. Jiminy Cricket. Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. I'm Crystal, I'm the Crystalline Priestess, Intuitive Evolutionary Astrologer and Psychic Tarot Reader, and today we have your weekly horoscope from Monday the 8th of July through to Sunday the 14th of July. Oh my god, I got it right, yay! So just before I actually jump into each and every single day's breakdown, I'm just going to do a quick overview of essentially what we can expect throughout this week, the energies that we're going to be sort of coming up against, that we're going to be experiencing, and just channeling my my intuitive take on what it feels as though we're going to be dealing with this week before we go through each day individually, and you can check out the timestamps for all of those below. All right guys, let's hop into the vibes of the week. We are also going to jump into a quick little card of the week. So we're just going to pull one card for this whole week ahead, and we have the Hanged Fae, which is the Hanged Man. So this is definitely a week of us seeing things from a different perspective. We are being strung very much upside down. It feels as though we're needing to take a moment this week, and you know, I've said it a lot, but breathing is really important with Jupiter being in Gemini. Learning to take a breath, learning to take a moment to actually step back and to look at everything from a little bit of a different perspective. That different perspective offers us an opportunity to see expansion and to see growth in places that we couldn't see it before. It feels as though this Hanged Man is really about us looking at things without responding and reacting too quickly, you know? This is us essentially being strung up by the universe this week because we're needing to, you know, not jump into anything too quickly, especially with Mars moving into Uranus this week and moving into their conjunction with Algol. It's definitely a week of holding back and not pushing too hard and not trying to run like a bull at a gate, which is something I say all the time because it's a fabulous Aussie saying. But basically, don't be trying to just run at something with no destination in sight, you know? It's about really, you know, especially with the Eight of Swords at the bottom of the deck as well. It's about not getting caught up in anxiety and fear and self-doubt. And it feels as though this week is a week to break through a lot of the self-doubt that's actually been holding us back for a long time. So this Hangman feels really positive because it feels as though we're gaining a new way of seeing things. We're gaining a new way of looking at life and a new way of feeling, you know, it feels even like a new philosophy on life. Like it feels as though with this Hangman, it's like, you know what? I'm going to start actually, I'm going to decide that I'm actually okay with being a night owl, you know? And instead of judging myself every single day for not being able to go to bed at a certain time, I'm actually going to change up my philosophy and go, you know what? That's how I function and that's who I am. And so I'm going to restructure my routine to actually accommodate me being a night owl. And so, you know, this Hanged Man is about what are the changes that I need to be making in order to make that happen. So it feels like this is definitely a big week of changes, a big week of huge shifts and emotional awareness. Like I said, with that Cancer new moon, that emotional awareness is really going to help you hone into the desires that are going to start bringing you closer to your passions, that are going to start bringing you closer to who you're becoming, because it's really about tuning into your heart with Venus moving into Leo this week. So it's really about connecting in with this heart space and allowing love and compassion and joy to be our best friend and to be our guiding light throughout this whole entire week. And so this Hangman, it's a beautiful thing that, you know, things aren't moving ahead at the moment, that we're in a little bit of a holding pattern. That holding pattern is actually an opportunity. So let's get into the rest of the reading, my loves. So my loves, I hope that you had a beautiful Cancer new moon. That was our only Cancer lunation that we will be having this whole year. So I hope that you used it to nurture yourself, to nourish yourself, and to give yourself a little bit of what you've been needing, and to just really take a moment to give yourself a breath and an opportunity to look at your needs and to really tend to your own little garden. So this week is really about learning to lighten up and to have a little bit of a laugh through the chaos, through the crap, through the bullshit. And I know that I keep saying that, but that's because we're in the thick of it at the moment. We are in Cancer season. The sun is coming closer and closer to its opposition with Pluto. We're going to have Venus moving into her opposition with Pluto this week. There is the sun trining Saturn, which is a beautiful connection, but then we're having the sun moving towards its square with good old Chiron. So, you know, there's a lot going on. Like I said, that was our only Cancer lunation that we have this whole year. We have another full moon in Capricorn that's coming in hot next week, next Sunday. So really, it's about us learning to sort of breathe, even though it might feel a little bit difficult, you know when we're feeling really quite overwhelmed and there's a lot going on in life and we sort of forget to breathe. And I remember this from when I was doing a lot of yoga classes back in the day, and it was always something that would bring me to attention, you know, when the teacher would say to start noticing your breath, and I would notice that I was breathing so shallow, you know, I was just like kind of like panting like a dog without even realizing. And I think that this is one of those weeks where it's kind of like the universe is coming at us like the yoga teacher and asking, are you allowing yourself to pay attention to how you're breathing? Because you're breathing, you know, your breath in general is how you can tell whether your nervous system is regulated or not. You know, paying attention to your breath is really, really important. That's why it's the core of yoga. So, you know, it's just something to be mindful of this week. It's definitely a really powerful week full of huge moments of activation, and there's a lot of stuff that's coming up from the past. So it feels as though our past throughout this whole week is going to be sort of kicking us up the ass, for lack of a better term. And it's kind of reminding us of why we're making the changes that we're making, why we're needing to go through some of the difficult situations that we're already going through, because it's leveling us up and helping us to expand into becoming versions of ourselves that can take on more. You know, if you think back to yourselves the last time Jupiter was in Gemini back in 2012, that version of you would not have been able, and you know, Pluto was in Capricorn back then. Neptune was just moving into Pisces. So back then, you wouldn't have been able to hold what it is that you're currently going through at the moment, the circumstances of your life, the trials and the tribulations that each one of us are going through at these particular moments in time and in history. You know, you wouldn't have been able to hold the capacity for that 10, 12 years ago. So the fact that you are where you are now, it's really a week of gaining insight on the grounds that you're standing on now compared to the grounds that you stood on 10 years ago. You know, even for me, sitting here filming this horoscope for you right here, like this is where I grew up. We moved here in literally, I think 2008 or 2009. So as soon as Pluto moved into Capricorn, actually it was 2008 because I remember memory anyway. You know, we moved here in 2008. So here we are at the end of Pluto Capricorn, and for the first time in my life, my family and I are questioning, are we going to sell this place? Do we need to have it? Do we need to have this much land? Look at all that shit behind me. You know, we don't have cows, we don't have horses, we don't farm. I'm not a farmer. I got a South Node in Taurus. I'm not meant to be a farmer in this life. And so, yeah, it's basically us having to like face these challenges head on. You know, I don't want to make these decisions. None of my family members want to make these decisions, but this is actually the week, and I didn't even realize that until like I've just prepared this whole reading, and I've just realized that this is the week that my family are making the decisions about this house. And so this is very much in congruence with what I'm talking about, with all of us needing to face choices, make decisions, to balance things out, and to look for ways of moving forward that feel like they're more in flow and that feel honestly easier, especially with Saturn being in Pisces and with the sun this week making a really beautiful trine over to that Saturn in Pisces. We're finally going to be able to see where these trials, these tribulations, these difficulties and these restrictions are actually going to pay off in the long run if we stay disciplined and connected and we nurture ourselves through that sense of discipline. You know, discipline is actually self-care in my opinion, because I'm someone who has harnessed both complete no discipline and discipline, and I definitely think that it feels like genuine self-love and self-care when I'm choosing to be disciplined, to an extent, of course. Cancer season is also about learning to understand, and especially with the sun connecting with Saturn this week, it's about learning to have compassion with understanding how much work you can or cannot put into something or someone, you know. It's about nurturing yourself so that you can be a life force for others. You know, Cancer is the mother archetype. It rules the breast. The mother, if she's not nurtured and if she's not nourished, she can't be a source of nourishment to the baby. You know, mother's breast milk will even dry up when they're going through extremely difficult, emotional, stressful situations. So without having a healthy, emotional, nourished nervous system, there is no life force. So anyway, that was a deep tangent, but this is going to be a really deep week. So that's kind of a little bit of a taste tester for you guys. It's also a week of not getting lost in the fog of escapism. Now, I wrote that down. I've got my laptop here and my little notes sitting on my little rock. Ta-da! It's my little, I call it the wagon rock, because it's got a little wagon wheel on it. But basically, I wrote down, don't get lost in the fog of escapism, because it's really important this week with a major connection that we're having. What day is it on? So on Friday, we are having a really big T-square. Now let me get it up on my chart. On Friday, we are having a really big and important, it's actually Thursday and Friday. So we're having a really important connection between Venus and Neptune. And so Venus is sextiling Neptune, which is lovely, but she's also moving into her opposition with Pluto. So there's definitely a bit of a push and pull energy here between feeling really, really, really connected to a dream and to a possible potential, and something that feels like it could actually manifest as a real reality, something that we truly, really want. But with the moon being in Virgo and in opposition to Neptune, whilst he's also just had an opposition with Saturn, and Neptune is in a trine with the sun, I mean, not the sun, with Venus, it's definitely a day and an energy this week where we could get lost in maybe thinking that things are going to work out maybe better than they are, or just trying to be a little bit like pushing. I call it Scarlett O'Hara, because I don't know if any of you guys have watched, what's the movie called? Gone with the Wind. It's my grandma's favorite movie in the whole world. She absolutely loved it. And my mum likes it too, because obviously she was a little girl watching it and blah, blah, blah. But basically the woman in it, Scarlett, she says that she'll deal with everything tomorrow, and my mum is very much like that, and so we've always called it like she has Scarlett O'Hara syndrome. And so basically I'm going to call it out as what it is. This is a week where it could be, I'm going to be Scarlett O'Hara. I'll worry about it tomorrow. It's going to be something that's not an issue right now. And you know, in moments in time that's important to do, but at the same time it's really important this week to not be letting things just overwhelm us, and to just, you know, decide to stuff it all underneath the rug, and that in the end that creates skeletons in the closet. You know, it's like we stuff everything under the rug, and it turns out the cat was under the rug, and the cat ended up dying under the rug, and then the cat's a skeleton now, and now you got a dead cat under your rug, you know. With Jupiter this week reaching 10 degrees of Gemini, it finally conjuncts with Aldebaran, the fixed star, and so it's really important to be on truth this week and to not get lost in that sort of foggy, you know, obsession that we can kind of get into sometimes when we, you know, it's giving me an example. My guides are showing me, like, you know, when you're in high school and you have a crush on someone and you literally become so obsessed with that person and you create so many fantasies and so many scenarios in your head about how you're gonna like get with them and like all sorts of stuff. And this person has absolutely no idea that you even like them. Like, it's not a physical thing in reality whatsoever. But in your mind, it's like a full thing, and then when you see them, you're like, whoo, you know, and it's like, it's a full thing, but it's not actually reciprocal. That's the energy of this week, you know. Make sure that everything that you're investing your energy, your love, your time, your dreams into is reciprocal. We're all still cleaning up some really messy situations in our lives, so this week it's really important to have compassion with ourselves as we move through the cleanup process. You know, after a disaster happens in anywhere, you know, it's a slow process to rebuild. I mean, I remember when I went to New Orleans in 2018, one of the bus drivers that was taking us on a tour, he had like an album of Hurricane Katrina and all the devastation and you know, the rebuilding process of all that, and the fact that so much of New Orleans actually hadn't been rebuilt, like, that shocked me, because I don't even remember the year. I could look it up right now. Oh, I don't have any internet. Okay, so I don't have any internet out here. So I'll look it up after I've finished filming this reading, but you know, it had been quite a long time since Hurricane Katrina happened. I remember I was a kid when it happened, and I was an adult when I went to America. So, you know, I was shocked that still so much of the city hadn't been rebuilt. And, you know, that's sort of what this week is about. It's about realizing that, you know, things aren't going to actually be rebuilt after so much devastation, after something as hectic and chaotic as that, and something that caused so much loss and so much pain and so much, you know, just literal devastation is the word. You know, you can't expect to like heal from it and to recover from it overnight. Like, these things take time, and it's a process. So this is really a week of accepting the process. This is literally us learning to like get back up after a fall. I'm hearing that song, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You ain't ever gonna knock me down. I get knocked down, but I ain't up in. No, that's not how it goes. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You ain't ever gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You know, you ain't ever gonna keep me down. There's no keeping us down this week. It's just, we're learning slowly to just keep getting back up. It's even giving me Cardi B now, Get Up 10. Listen to those two songs, okay? This is a determination to remain grounded and rooted, especially with Mars getting so close to its conjunction with Uranus this week, and Uranus having just moved onto the fixed star Algol. Intense stuff. Algol is what they call the demon star. It is a star that can either bring really, really good shit or really, really bad shit. Stay away from alcohol. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but this is a week to not be jumping into getting on the piss, fellow Aussies. Okay, let's not be doing that. You know, it's probably a good thing that the American July 4th weekend just finished, because it's, I think with Mars hitting Algol this week, or getting so close to Uranus and Algol this week, it's feeling like the most volatile things that could happen will happen if you're around people that are drinking. So anyway, that was just a bit of a basic breakdown for essentially what is coming up for the week, what we can expect energy wise. Now I'm going to go through each day of the week. Each day is going to be timestamped below, so if you guys want to come back to the reading throughout the week and just check in, maybe it's Tuesday morning, you want to wake up and see, oh, what's the vibe, what's going on today, you can just check in and go back to that timestamp. And there's also going to be a channeled song down below as well for that day, so do check it out, my loves. I'm feeling like I'm getting a little bit of a flow with this. Let me know in the comments below as well if you have any insight, if you have any feedback or any suggestions for what you want to see astrologically or tarot wise and all that sort of stuff, spiritually, all that jazz. Let's get into it. Okay, my love, so starting off with Monday actually feels like a little bit of a creative day, a little bit of a flowy day. I'm really loving that we have Mercury and the Moon both in Leo, making a really nice little sextile over to Jupiter in Gemini. At the same time, the Moon and Mercury are going to be trining with the North Node and also sextiling the South Node. It is a day with a positive energy to it. It has a positive flow. It has a little bit of an energy of feeling like we can actually get things done. We can actually flow into something. So Monday is really about falling in love with the creative flow of life. It's about stories. It's about indulging in the story of life and taking refuge in the beauty of the little things. Now, I'm just reading my notes. If you guys are noticing me looking down, it's because my laptop's there. It feels as though it's important on Monday to be tuning into a little bit of a lighthearted energy and having a little bit of fun and even indulging in a little bit of comedy and a little bit of laughter. Because, you know, when we have Leo and Gemini connections, it's really a playful energy. It's literally the most childlike sort of energy of the zodiac. So Monday is definitely a day for just letting your creative freak flag fly a little bit, especially because we're having that connection between Jupiter and we're having connections between between the North Node and the South Node in Aries and Libra. And it just feels as though it's important to sort of balance out our energy on Monday with getting shit done, but also being able to be like in a little bit of a playful and a flowy sort of less reactive, more responsive, and just, you know, accepting energy for where we're needing to sort of embrace a creative approach to life. It feels like Monday is a creative approach. It's about tuning into joy, company, comedy, having a laugh, like I said, connection and play, having a little bit of a play, you know, even if that means 10 minutes of your favorite video game or 10 minutes of playing the piano, you know, doing something that's just going to break you out of a feeling of, you know, a feeling of sluggishness. I feel as though with Cancer, you know, sometimes we can feel a little bit sluggish, and especially with the sun moving into a trine with Saturn, it could feel as though things are moving really slow. We're feeling like moving really slow. So the creative energy is really going to help us move a little bit quicker. I feel as though this creative energy is really going to help us in building and manifesting a vision, because with the Venus moving into her opposition with Pluto, she's only at 25 degrees on Monday, but she's moving into that opposition, and it feels as though there's something that we're really truly wanting, a desire that is getting stronger, something that we're valuing that's getting stronger, and we're getting closer and closer to needing to achieve that. So it's really about expanding and receiving, sitting into that vision, and you know, using creativity to help you find that vision. You know, it could be just, I think the thing that can be quite funny, and I've noticed this with like being a content creator and shit, it's like, this is a creative thing and it's fun and it's playful and I like doing it, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. But we can get so in our heads with this, like, you know, adult, I need to do things in a certain way, and this grind mentality, that we forget where flow is actually, and creativity and play is actually where our best ideas come from. And so me trying to sit there and think of all these ideas while I'm sort of like forcing myself to sit at a desk and to be in like a rigid environment or a rigid circumstance is not actually what's going to be the most conducive thing to fun. So it feels like on Monday it's about accepting that you're needing fun in order to be in flow, and that your best work actually comes from being in a creative excitement, you know, and happiness, and having a positive outlook as well, especially with the connections to Jupiter and Gemini. You know, it is about having a positive outlook and about looking at the lighter side of life. Like I literally kept bringing this up. This is all Jupiter and Gemini so far. I just keep getting Monty Python. It's always look on the bright side of life. So, you know, just keep that mentality on Monday. It feels as though we're actually just on Monday accepting the challenges of what it is that we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve, how we're trying to move forward. And we're looking at the positives about it. We're looking at the fact that, you know, yeah, it might be a little bit tough, but we don't have to have such a shitty attitude. We can have a better way of seeing things. We can have a better optimistic, a better outlook about what it is that we're needing to do in order to achieve what it is that we're wanting to, you know, receive. The mountaintop that we're trying to reach, you know, where we're realizing on Monday that there's a better way to reaching it. You know, there's a way of achieving it that doesn't have to feel so strenuous and like we're almost going to die on the top of that thing. It's definitely a day of handling yourself in a more positive way throughout uncomfortable situations. You know, if situations are feeling a little bit weird, a little bit, you know, even if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable and frustrated with yourself, it's about handling that differently. It's about handling yourself differently and handling the way you're seeing yourself and the way you're treating yourself differently. Okay, my love, so Tuesday is actually feeling like we are really seeing the power in our past versions of ourselves. We're seeing how there is so much beauty in the way we're now holding ourselves compared to other versions of ourselves that we sort of may have thought in the past were so enlightened and that were so clued on and that were so, you know, we thought we had it all in the bag. And we're realizing now, I think at this point, you know, this is one of those days on Tuesday where we're like, wow, when I thought I had it like made, I really didn't have it made. Like I'm looking back now and feeling so proud of the shells that I've outgrown, feeling so proud of the versions of myself that I've been and that I've also left behind, and the version of myself that I'm now becoming. This is almost like I'm seeing like a cicada shell. I'm seeing someone being like looking back on that shell and seeing, you know, as the actual fully formed cicada, and looking back on that like weird looking shell and being like, wow, I cannot believe that was me. I cannot believe that was me. I feel like a completely different person, but also the exact same person. And it's almost like a wig out. It's like tripping you out that there is so much that has changed and there's so much that has transpired in between these different versions of you, you know? It literally feels as though on Tuesday, the crab is changing shells. The moon, when it gets to 23 degrees of Leo, makes a very powerful trine over to Chiron. So it does feel as though there's an opportunity for receiving a moment of just beautiful insight in how much we've healed and how important our healing is and has been. And it feels as though we're actually maybe even experiencing like a creative expression. Like it feels as though being able to express ourselves in a moment of joy because we've realized how much we've grown in a certain situation. We're realizing where we're really not the same, and it feels like that is a moment to celebrate in and of itself. We don't think about the same things, we don't feel about the same things, we don't react in the same way. There are so many different ways that we're showing up to life now, and it feels as though on Tuesday it's like a moment of pride. It feels as though a moment of pride in us seeing just how much we've grown. Even since the eclipses, it feels like since March, it feels like since April, it feels like we've just become so much more aware of our wounding, and that's actually acted as a superpower because it's helped us to navigate this ego. And instead of using our ego as something against ourselves, which is, you know, what always trying to hold this shell up and this wall up and trying to appear a certain way, it feels as though the mask is coming off collectively. And the more we're actually vulnerable and showing our squishy, crabby parts, you know, the more we're actually being received, and the more we're noticing that other people are starting to connect with us, and we're just feeling more comforted and less alone in this world. You know what I mean? In some ways, it really feels as though we're staring into the mirror, and the reflection looks different. And I'm just looking up because there are just black cockatoos absolutely everywhere above me. I don't know if you guys will be able to see. Can you see? But you can hear them. So the black cockatoos are out. I'm going to say that the black cockatoo is going to be our spirit animal for the week. So maybe we're going to add spirit animal for the week to this little thing, because the black cockatoos are telling us that they have a lot to say. So I feel like at the end of this reading, I might just do a little quick read through of what the black cockatoo spirit animal actually means. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, and see, they were really showing up for when we're talking about Tuesday as well. So I feel like that's the thing. That's really us seeing the power of our past and the power of our roots. It's almost like our roots giving us the power to blossom into a really beautiful, wholesome, fruitful tree. It feels like where we can be honest with ourselves is where our superpower lies, and there's a really strong opportunity for a lot of spiritual growth on Tuesday, just through purely accepting where honesty is the best policy, and where we need to be proud of the versions of ourselves that we are and that we have already become, because it's taken a lot to even be existing on Earth right now. To be alive, to be here, means that we've been through some pretty gnarly shit just in the past 4 years alone. So, you know, we're all recovering. Like I said in the beginning of this intro, you know, it takes time. And like I said with Hurricane Katrina, it's that New Orleans is still not fully rebuilt. You know, chime in if you're from New Orleans. Feel free to give us, you know, your first-hand account of what that means to you and how you're sort of interpreting this. But, you know, let us know, because this is the energy where if something so traumatic and so devastating happens in life, which it's happened to all of us, even just what that whole thing was with COVID-19 and all that, like that was enough to be a worldwide trauma. And so we're still rebuilding after that. So it's going to take time. Okay, my love. So Wednesday, we have some really nice energy again, because Jupiter in Gemini, like I said, he's connected with Aldebaran now. He's at 10 degrees and he's making a really nice sextile over to the North Node in Aries and a lovely trine over to the South Node in Libra. And this is us really needing to let go of expectations. What can we learn from past situations that are really going to help us in our present current moment and the situations that we're currently being faced with at the moment? Because with these connections to the South Node, it feels as though we're learning from even 12 years ago, you know, versions of yourself 10 to 12 years ago. Where are you seeing now how certain choices that you made in life have brought you to certain situations that you're in now, and where it's about realizing that you now have a higher perspective and a different perspective, and you're able to make better choices in the future as a result of everything that you've learned over the past 12 years now. This sounds really deep, but you know, Jupiter has not been in Gemini since 2012. And so it's about us reliving and reconnecting with these previous cycles. Astrology is cycles. Can we react differently to triggers that we've experienced in the past? You know, is things coming up now, are we able to deal with them in a different way? Are we able to react in a way that feels less emotionally taxing on ourselves and the people around us? And we're needing to ask ourselves, is our environment safe? You know, this is really, you know, Cancer season, and the sun is starting to move into that sextile that trine with Saturn. So it's about asking ourselves, do we feel safe in our environment? Gemini is the current local environment. And so Jupiter being there, connecting with the South Node and the North Node, it's really about, are you feeling comfortable and safe and homely, or are you trying to, you know, convince yourself that something looks better than it actually is? Where are we needing to reevaluate the people and the places and the connections that we're spending the most time in and with? It's really about paying attention to where we are in the current environment and how that's either supporting us or it's not supporting us. This is us upgrading out of an old mindset, an old philosophy, you know, releasing an outdated mindset. And it's making simple, quick changes in the moment. Reacting with more thought than actual just reaction, especially with Mars. He's at 22 degrees of Taurus. He's getting closer and closer to Uranus, and they are both about to meet on top of Algol. So like I said, this is us wanting to maybe jump into making decisions spontaneously. And with this energy being in Taurus, it's about not rushing. It's about smoothing into things, and it's about not responding and reacting just because something looks a certain way. This is about us needing to sort of do our due diligence, especially with Jupiter and Gemini, learn the facts, learn the truth before we're just sort of like making our Libra judgments. It's really like an important day on Wednesday to be reading the room, you know, paying attention to what's emotionally going on around you before you take certain actions or connect in certain ways, because it feels like emotions can definitely be on high, especially with Venus starting to get closer and closer to her opposition, with Pluto and Mars getting closer and closer to that connection with Uranus. There is definitely the potential for big, random, explosive blowouts to happen that sort of, you know, have been simmering underneath the surface. And so it's really important to be tuned into your emotional compass this week, especially, but on Wednesday. Deep conversations between people close to you, friends, family, you know, conversations that need to be had, stories that need to be told. It's about really listening and speaking from the heart and speaking with, you know, true intention to hear someone else's point of view. You know, it feels like with Gemini, it's about hearing both sides of the story. It's about actually truly deeply listening and having a curious mindset about what other people's perspectives or, you know, outlooks on a certain situation might actually be. It's about maybe taking the focal point from being so narrow and maybe expanding it a little bit, but looking at just two different sides of the coin, looking at different options, and maybe not being so, especially with the North Node being in Aries, you know, being so certain on your way being the only way, you know, my way or the highway kind of energy. This is about really connecting through yourself and family through compassionate connections on Wednesday. Okie dokie, so then my loves, we get to Thursday, and things start getting a little bit weird on Thursday when we have the moon in her opposition with Saturn. So that's always an energy of feeling a little bit like, are we oiling the machine properly? Are we taking care? Are we feeding the animals the right food? Are we doing the right thing? You know, it's always a little bit of needing a little bit of a tweak, of needing to pay attention to our routines and paying attention to our health, especially with the moon being in opposition with Saturn. It's definitely about where are we needing to clear up health related issues? Where are we needing to really clear up, especially anxiety, clear up maybe issues that are happening in our minds that are actually starting to respond physically in our body. You know, when we're really anxious about something that's happening in the future and like, you know, we don't have to do anything about it now, but it's sort of simmering away in the back of our minds. This is what it feels like with the moon opposing Saturn. It's kind of like this long feeling of like, oh, there's something I really need to do, but I don't feel like I quite have everything quite together yet, and I'm feeling a little bit behind. Things are feeling a little bit messy. It could be feeling a little bit tough to deal with what we're needing to sort of trudge through in order to get through the day and to keep pushing you know, our dreams ahead, to keep pushing what we're trying to get done ahead, because it feels like we're all trying to get things done, but it feels like, especially with Mars coming into this conjunction with Uranus and getting closer and closer, he reaches 23 degrees on Thursday. So it really is, you know, things just changing out of the blue and us not being able to be in control of where our energy is going. You know, sometimes we may have more energy to give to something than others when we thought we were going to have way more time for that project. And so it feels as though on Thursday it's like needing to become a little bit more receptive to the balancing act in going about these sorts of shifts and changes that are coming up left, right, and center. It's about really thinking about where can we diffuse the feelings of messiness and overwhelm? Where can we start to sort of make small little changes that are going to help us to feel like we have less looming on top of us, less on our plate? You know, now I'm noticing the grey skies behind us, and I'm kind of thinking like it feels a little bit heavy, it feels a little bit grey. It's feeling like on Thursday it's like, oh man, I just got so much to do. And plus on Thursday we already have the moon opposing Saturn, but she's moving closer and closer to Neptune. And so once we get to Friday, we're going to have some really intense energies with an opposition to Neptune. And so it's already feeling like the mess is well and truly in our faces. If we can be compassionate with ourselves in the cleanup process, that's going to really give us a lot of grace. It's essentially just trying to be as peaceful as we can as we go through the daily tasks, as we do the things, as we put one foot in front of the other and keep trudging through the mud. The image that it was giving me was basically, you know, weeds in a garden. If we don't tend to the weeds in a garden, the weeds essentially take over the plants and they you know, crush the ability for the plant to create beautiful, ripe, wholesome, healthy fruit. So if we're not cleaning out the weeds in our garden, we're essentially allowing the weeds to take over. And so it's about clearing through the weeds, but not feeling as though, you know, look at this behind me, right? Do you think that we could walk out here right now and I could clear through all that in an hour? With some good machinery, you can do a lot of work, but you're still not going to get through this entire clearing without having to put a lot of work into it. Good, hard, solid time and effort. So it's going to take time to clean up the mess. And it's a day on Thursday about understanding and accepting that it's going to take time and to have compassion as we are in the process. You know, I'm seeing like the hazmat suit. I'm seeing like, you know, you can't even move properly in this thing. So don't expect yourself to have a complete, you know, ability to just clear it all out in a day when you can't even actually freely move around your own cabin. Anyway, I feel like you guys understand what I mean. It also feels, again, the past, because we're still having, you know, Jupiter is still in this sextile with the South Node. And so, I mean, this trine with the South Node, I always mess up my sextiles and trines. It's so hard for me. Sorry, guys. But basically, this connection between Jupiter and the South Node, as well as the North Node, really has us feeling into old wounds and feeling into memories of the past. Maybe where things felt messy in the past. Maybe where we're realizing that because we didn't clean up certain messes in the past, we're having to deal with them now, or there's twice the mess, you know? We're realizing that we've never really truly allowed ourselves moments of actual rest and of actual clearing and of actual respite. It feels as though we've just been trying to push. You know, we've been continuing on this trajectory of needing to reach a certain goal, especially with Pluto being in Capricorn, and with Pluto, you know, really coming into, you know, full effect over this week, especially with Venus making her opposition. Then we're going to be having the Sun making his opposition. Then, you know, it's just, then he's going to be in September, he's going to be reaching back to Capricorn. So, you know, we're having a full moon in Capricorn next week. So there's so much of this Pluto activity and this Capricorn activity, and it's showing us where we've really been on the grind since 2008 and where we're needing to really reevaluate now what had to fall away, what crumbled, because Pluto was crumbling the Capricorn area of your chart, you know, for the past 15 years, however many years it's been. My math sucks. But essentially, you know, it's really feeling like on Thursday, we're just like feeling into like the weight of how much of an ordeal this has all been. And we're feeling the heaviness of that. Plus, you know, Saturn and Neptune are both now retrograde. So even though the Sun is making her lovely sextile over to Saturn, Saturn is retrograde. So we're really seeing where we haven't actually taken proper care of ourselves in the past. And that has really affected us mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And we're needing to have compassion for where we didn't give ourselves that grace in the past, and how that actually manifested in us feeling worse in certain situations. So this is us making new pacts with ourselves and going, you know what, if in this new season of healing and in this new season of my life, this is how I'm going to respond if certain things come up. This is how I'm going to treat myself. This is how I'm going to be taking care of myself from now on, you know? It's getting clear on that. This is us recognizing that we really truly need a moment to actually recoup. We've been through a lot. Like I said, we've been through collective trauma over the past 4 years. So it's really about giving ourselves a freaking break. And 444 on the camera when I said that. So it's really about allowing ourselves a break. And that break actually helps us to build into having a more solid, stable foundation, so that in order to move forward, we're not, you know, building our castle on sand, you know, and that's going to crumble and it's going to sink. We don't want to be building a castle on quicksand. It was literally giving me the image of like a video game and someone's health bar. Like, this real life is not a video game. We do not just have an unlimited health bar, or we are not a sim where I can just, you know, click and tell you to go to the fridge and food just manifests and then you cook it and then your life bar goes up and it's all good and everything's happy, you know? We are not the Sims. Real life requires rest. Even the Sims require rest, actually. So, you know, if you don't put your Sim to bed, you're going to have a grumpy ass, angry Sim, and that Sim's just going to fall. It's going to refuse to do any of the tasks that you tell to do it, and it's going to be a grumpy bastard. So don't be that guy. Don't be that Sim. Don't be that Sim god. You know, that treats their Sim like that. Have some respect for your Sim. Have some respect for yourself. Would you treat a Sim like that? No. So would you treat yourself like that? No, of course not. You shouldn't be. If you are, self-love, self-care, self-nourishment, okay? The best thing you could be doing with the Sun and Saturn connection is nourishing yourself, especially food-wise, you know? Where can you nourish yourself through physically nourishing your actual body? And my nose is going crazy itchy. So definitely important to be paying attention to the food that we're eating, and especially with that moon opposition in Virgo. Health, like I said, so paying attention to the foods that we're putting into our body, because health is wealth. If you have health, you have everything. If you have no health and all the wealth, you still have nothing, you know? And I can really speak to that as I'm getting older and I'm watching my parents get older, and I'm seeing where choices, lifestyle choices they made at my age and, you know, as they got older, really are affecting them now. So this is us, especially with the connection to Saturn, this is us looking at long-term shit and being like, wow, if I don't want to be a hunchbacked old lady that can barely move, you know, when I'm trying to do my shopping, and needing carers for everything by the time I'm 70, I'm going to need to actually take care of my body. And my nose is getting crazy itchy. So this is a real message. It's very important that we're taking in the fact that we are aging, that we are growing. It's not a delusion, especially with Saturn being in Pisces. You know, we can be delusional about the fact that we're getting older, delusional about the fact that we actually do age. And so it's about on Friday, am I talking about Friday? Thursday. It's about on Thursday, really embracing that, you know, getting older is actually a gift. Aging is a gift. Being here for 70, 80, 90 years on this planet is a fucking gift. So the older you are, the more blessed you are. And to understand that and to connect with that and to use that knowledge as a springboard for you to start taking the best care of yourself that you possibly ever could, which means nourishing your body in all ways, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all the stuff. Financially, that's important too. Grant yourselves opportunities on Thursday to breathe deeply, to take the weight off, dance, have a play SingStar, sing, do something silly, you know, just do something to break up your energy and do something that's going to help you feel excited, playful, and connected to, you know, a version of you that's aging into someone who is going to be, you know, holding on to their best self their whole life, you know. One of my favorite quotes is something like, a creative adult is a child who survived. And so I feel like if you can really embrace this creativity in you as you age and as you grow, you're going to be a happy, healthy, joyful person your whole life. Like, we all know those old people that we see, or elderly people that we see going on their runs and their swims down by the beach and going to the pools and that, and we look at them and they're like 80, 90 years old and they look fucking amazing and they're bronzed and, you know, they're still running and they're still swimming and they're just full of life and full of happiness and full of joy. And, you know, it's about us being like, that's the goal, that's who I want to be when I'm that age. So it's really important on Thursday to do what's important, do what needs to be getting done, but also allow yourself that vision and that clarity of truth in understanding that, you know, life needs to be met with with balance, and it needs to be met with both ends of the spectrum. That's why zodiac, the astrology is all about duality. It's hermetic. It's literally polar opposites. That's why Cancer is the polar opposite to Capricorn, and why you can't have Cancerian traits without Capricornian traits, and why the North and South Node is always exactly opposing each other, and the eclipses are always exactly opposing each other, and why the Moon and Sun, you know, have its full, the moon is at its full moon when it's opposing the sun and receiving the light from the sun. You know, it's all about dichotomy. It's all about, you know, balance and about opposition. It's quite interesting. So it's embracing that on Thursday, really honoring that, you know, things are always going, you may be getting older and things may be looking different and feeling different, and your health may be more, a little bit more, what should we call it? Sensitive than it used to be, but it's also about embracing all the beauty that this aging is bringing you, and that getting older is actually bringing you, because it's allowing you to be more yourself than you've ever been. So I haven't actually mentioned it as well, but Venus is in her beautiful exact sextile over to Neptune on Thursday. So like I said, there is this like need to sort of focus on the true vision, the long-term vision, the true health goals. Like that's why I'm saying, you know, picturing yourself at 80 and the type of person that you want to be, the legacy you want to leave. What is the true legacy? You know, do you want to have a big family with lots of grandchildren all around you, or do you want to still be traveling? Do you want to be out on a sailboat in the Greek islands? You know, it's about connecting with a true vision, and with connecting with something that feels like it's truly valuable, and it's something we truly desire, because Venus is moving into Leo, and that's where we're going to get into Friday now. Venus moves into Leo and hits that 0 degree point and begins to make her very strong opposition with good old Pluto. So, you know, she still is trining with Neptune, which is lovely, but it's also almost like we're needing to be careful where these desires don't become just full-on obsessions, and where we don't let our fantasy become a full-on obsession. Like I was saying earlier with the example of when you're in high school and you like fantasize over someone, you have a crush on a boy and you become so obsessed that it's actually insane. Or even like, you know, I'll use Justin Bieber as an example. I was from the era of when Justin Bieber first came out, and One Time, and Me Plus You, and you know, the obsession was unreal. Me and all my friends, our obsessions that we had with musicians was fucking unreal. How crazy we were. And it was obviously not reciprocal, of course. Like, being a fan is not about being reciprocal, but it's basically like, it was delusional. It was crazy. Like, we really thought that we were going to be able to like grow up and become these guys' girlfriends and shit. Like, it's just like, it's crazy. And so don't be crazy. Don't be crazy on Friday. Because it's a grand cross, but it's in different modalities, so it's really weird. Mutable with Pluto in Aquarius and Venus in Leo. Did I just say mutable? I meant fixed. And then mutable with the moon in Virgo opposing Neptune in Pisces. So there's this really weird sort of energy that's coming on about us feeling almost obsessive about needing something, needing a change, needing a new life, needing something different. Wounds coming up, rehashing this need for relationships to sort of like be a certain way, to feel truly seen, to feel truly connected. It feels as though Friday is definitely a day that could feel like emotionally very messy. It definitely feels, I literally wrote in my notes like feeling like we're in a time warp, and then I'm hearing, let's do the time warp, yeah. It just kind of feels as though we're rehashing old wounds. Stuff from the past is coming up. Pluto is feeling like he's really got us in this evolutionary need and this pull towards up leveling and evaluating where our values need to actually sort of upgrade, because we've just gone through that whole Cancer season, you know. We've just had Venus where she's made all these lovely connections over to Saturn and Pisces, and now she's starting to move into Leo, and she's going, okay, well, I've just learned a lot like about how I'm needing to emotionally nurture and nourish myself, and now I'm in Leo and I'm facing Pluto, and I'm going, holy crap, but where is that coming up against my own heart and the heart of the collective? You know, where am I coming up against everybody else's idea of what that looks like, of what a healthy, happy family life, looks like, of what my dream should look like, you know. And even this could be like dealing with voices that exist within our own souls and in our own minds that we don't even realize, our subconscious, you know. Having a dream deep in our heart's desire, but not feeling as though we're actually physically allowed to receive and achieve it, you know. And it kind of feels as though it's like this pressure that's being put on us from an unseeable source, you know. With Pluto, Venus isn't able to see what she's opposing. She's not able to see what is so difficult for her to comprehend and for her to understand. I also just received a phone call, so I hope that didn't all just go silent. But if it did, I apologize. You guys just must not have been meant to hear that. It is what it is, because I can't remember what I said. But it just is kind of feeling a little bit like we have this feeling of we can't escape the past on Friday. Wherever we go, it seems to be following us. And so it feels as though we're in a little bit of a time warp. I'm even seeing the movie Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is weird, and I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but it's almost feeling like we're faced with an older version of ourselves that maybe was a little bit shy, or a version of ourselves that was too afraid to go for what we wanted, or was too afraid to, you know, put ourselves out there and to extrovert and show ourselves. You know, this is Venus in Leo. We're wanting to shine and to share our magic. And with Pluto being in Aquarius, you know, we're now in the age of the extrovert. We're not in the age of the introvert. So with Venus being here, we might be wanting to sort of fight between these two versions of ourselves that says, I want to be seen for all of my glory and all of my goldness and all my beauty and my radiance. But then there's the part of ourselves that also goes, but what will society think? What are people going to think if I shine that much, you know? There's I can't remember the quote, but there is like this beautiful quote that talks about how usually our biggest fear is not actually being outshone by others, but it's actually outshining other people. And so, especially in Australia, we have something that we call the tall poppy syndrome. And, you know, people cut down people who grow taller than them. You know, it's about not being someone who's more observable or more noticeable than the person next to you. And so it's definitely a day on Friday where we're needing to accept that there is a desire to be seen. There is a desire to to a childhood desire as well. With Cancer and with Leo, it's about the inner child, and the inner child really having this connection to what she wanted, what he wanted, what he needed to be in this world, and you know what that was going to look like as an adult. And like I said, with this long-term vision, and with the moon being in this opposition now with Neptune, it's about being realistic with where we're needing to now go towards actually making these dreams reality, making it realistic. Like I said, if you want to be an old lady that's like still running the beach and shit, like it's deciding that you need to start working towards that now in your 30s, and not waiting until you're already 60 or 50 and then being like, now I want to be a fit old lady, and it's already too late. You've already made the damage is done. You know, it's about, you know, seeing things in the long term and really building into that. It feels as though there's a pressure to change, and there's also a mourning and a grieving for the society that we've had to release and to let go of, and a knowing that it's almost like everyone for themselves. That's what Pluto and Aquarius is. It reminds me of The Purge. It's literally a little bit like this energy of everybody is out for themselves. This is a revolution of the people, and so the people are becoming what's in power. We've just had Capricorn, and so Capricorn's still holding on, you know, still clinging for power, but the people are rising up. And so this is us almost mourning a version of humanity that we're actually never going to have again in our lifetimes, which is structure. We are now in the Wild West. We are now in the times where it's chaos and it's unpredictable, and you know, everybody's having to deal with, you know, it's even giving me, this is what we're seeing in Australia a lot, which is a really big increase in youth violence. And now looking at changing laws around castle law, and people actually being able to, like, you know, it's fine if you come into our homes and I fucking kill you, or I fuck you up really, really bad, I can't get in shit for that. You know, bringing these sorts of laws in, because people are having to, Pluto and Aquarius, people are having to fend for ourselves, and we should have that anyway. But you know, that's just an example. We're in a new age now. Like, the technological age is here, and Jupiter is on Aldebaran. Jupiter is at 10 degrees of Gemini. The technology is only going to be expanding and increasing. And so this is us saying goodbye to, like, almost like a pre-technology humans, you know, we don't exist without this technology now. You and me could not be connecting without technology. So I couldn't have learned any of this astrology without technology, and you could not be learning any of this without technology. And so technology is essentially now a part of our lives, and it's not going anywhere. So this is almost like a realization on Thursday where it's like, oh damn, we really are, this is where it's going. Like this whole week could be really big changes in technology and really big news coming out around technology, but also more so than that, really intense stuff around like just collective events and war type stuff. And so maybe even seeing like really intense technology coming around warfare is definitely something, but it's just a huge week around big realizations where we're going to be like, holy shit, this is life now. Like it's never going to back to the way it was ever. It feels as though on Friday we're really accepting that we are stewards of the earth, and that especially, you know, if you're on my channel, we're accepting that we have a role to play on earth, and that we would not be here right now if we were not meant to be here right now and doing something, you know. And that's why Venus in this opposition with Pluto is saying we have a mission, we have a purpose, we have something that needs to be, you know, put out into this world, and only I can express it, only I can do it. God gave you the vision, you know. That sounds preachy, but it's like, you know, the universe gave you the vision, the universe gave you your dream, because you are the only person who has the wherewithal to execute it exactly the way that the universe, that source intended for it to be executed. You know, you need to believe in your dream, because the world needs your dream. The world truly needs your dream. Your dream is unique, and your dream has the power to create and to change the lives of so many other people. So, you know, remember that. We're realizing that we are the future ancestors. We have contributions that we are making to Earth right now, and that in order for there to still be an Earth in generations to come, we need to be taking action. We need to be taking action within ourselves first and foremost, Leo, and then using that action to, you know, progress out into the world, Aquarius. Our contributions to this planet right now are sacred. They are important. They are integral. They're integral for our future generations, for the generations that are coming up, for our grandchildren. You know, there's not even going to be an Earth for our grandchildren if we don't sort of learn to take responsibility for where we each have a role to play on this planet. It's really feeling important that we feel connected to the community of people that we're truly around, and that's what Pluto and Aquarius is about. Are you connected to the people? With Venus being in that opposition, are you feeling as though you can express your true heart with these people? Do you feel safe around these people? Does your inner child feel safe and connected around these people? Are you able to express yourself creatively? Are you able to speak from the heart? Are you able to share from the heart around the people that you're spending the most time with? It's crucial that with the age of Aquarius that we're able to truly feel connected with the people around us, you know? The age of Leo, you know, back in Pluto Leo generation, so the opposition of this, which is our parents' age, you know, the baby boomers essentially, they were really it was pushed to have like your own individual family, and to make this small nuclear family, you know, of the husband and wife and the two kids in the white picket fence in the perfect little house. It was very Leo. It was very much about making your own little castle. And so this Pluto and Aquarius now is the opposite of that. And now we're going back to realizing that we need to be working with people, with community. We don't need to be hiding away in these homes. We need to be expanding into connection and community and receiving help, you know, that we can help each other. The more people that are around, the more help we actually have and that we can give and receive. This is maybe for some of us a big wake-up call and a realization where you're realizing maybe I don't have any community. Maybe I need to move somewhere. Maybe I need to change. Maybe something has to, you know, come through that's different. Maybe I'm needing to just make some little small minor changes, or maybe I'm needing to have a different outlook, or maybe I'm needing to do something a bit more spiritual. Maybe I need to do something creative. Maybe I'm needing to, you know, if you don't have a sense of community around you, how can you build that? Through meeting like-minded people. So if you're someone that's really creative and there's a local pottery class, maybe it's time to go to the local pottery class. Even though you've been nervous about going on your own, it's time to just go. And maybe there's a paint and sip, and you can be like, sweet, I'll have a few sips of wine, I'll have a few wines, and it'll be fine. You know, just doing something that's going to connect you with other like-minded people that feel as though you can actually express yourself authentically. It's about family and roots, and, you know, the inner child feeling like it can fully express itself out in the world, because that's you know, it's crucial. Like I said before, the healthy, the creative adult is the child that survived. So let's all try and help ourselves and our fellow man survive, help our fellow children survive into becoming adults that actually thrive and allow creativity again to be, you know, at the forefront of life. And, you know, it's art and it's creativity and it's beauty and it's all these things that make life worth living. You know, it's the deliciousness of food, the beauty of, you know, an amazing song or a play. You know, there's so many things where art is everything. And so cherish that. It's really important that we're cherishing that on Saturday. I mean Friday. Saturday, that opposition between Venus and Pluto gets even more intense, because now she's not only just ingressed into Leo and started to hit Pluto, but she's like, they are in their push and pull. They are having a dance. Or essentially, Pluto is grabbing Venus and he's swinging her around the dance floor against her will. Basically, by the weekend, it feels like the pressure is on. Things are feeling a little bit more hectic and a little bit more intense than they have been feeling over the next days, but we have been feeling the pressure building, but it starts to feel like on Saturday, it's like, wow, we really know it's there. It feels like the cooker is on full steam. It feels as though there is an overwhelming pressure on Saturday to balance multiple acts at once. We're trying to do so many things at once. It almost feels like I'm seeing octopus arms. We've got our pots in a lot of different areas. We're just trying to make things, you know, as simple as they can, but it feels like life is just not producing simple right now. Overwhelm, triggers. It feels like definitely a weekend of trying to keep the peace, even though it feels like the volcano is literally on the verge of explosion. This is us really noticing the wounds and noticing the boundaries and restrictions that we are having around trying to keep a steady pace and trying to just go about what we're trying to achieve, you know? It feels as though every obstacle that could get in the way is getting in the way. Things feel as though they could change at any moment. We literally have Mars now at 24 degrees of Taurus, which is hitting Uranus. He's getting so close, and we already, like I spoke about, we already have Uranus on Algol, which is already really bringing up this volatility. And so things in the world just collectively could be feeling extremely volatile. Essentially, it feels to me from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we are looking at extreme volatility going into Monday of next week, especially with the sun starting to move into a square with Chiron at 23 degrees of Aries. It's definitely us really seeing the wounds, especially collectively, on full display. And we're seeing where I think there's a lot of smoothing over, and I think a lot of trying to pretend that things are peaceful when things are really, really not peaceful, with the moon being conjunct the south node in Libra and opposing the north node in Aries. It feels as though there's definitely an energy on the weekend of knowing that the shit is hitting the fan, and maybe some sort of like maybe pushing towards trying to maybe act like the fan ain't covered in shit right now. Let's let the, you know, even if it's not us in our internal lives, this feels like on a collective mundane like level, it feels as though you know, the weekend could definitely be where shit is kicking off and the mainstream media is just throwing crap at the wall. You know, like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Just literally a frenzy. This is definitely unpredictable situations, unpredictable energy, unpredictable in relationships as well. It's feeling like everything is feeling really unpredictable, and especially, like I said earlier, the weekend, this is not a weekend to be going out and getting drunk. This is not a weekend to be hanging out with people that are doing drugs and getting off their heads and doing really crazy shit. This is a weekend where shit like that could go really horribly wrong. I'm literally seeing, like, I'm seeing just, like, some really, like, Final Destination shit. Like, I'm literally seeing the movie Final Destination. It's just, like, try and just be simple. Be cruisy. Be peaceful. You know, Taurus is about plodding along. It's about being in a peaceful energy. And it's about being receptive to nature. So it's, you know, going outside on the weekend, maybe going on a hike, doing something that's going to help you connect with nature, and being in a natural energy is probably the highest expression. And being in our values and really, really just, you know, like valuing health and valuing valuing slow, methodical progress and not sort of throwing our hands up and going and doing something crazy. That's the kind of energy that's really going to have us fucked up this week. Motorbike riding and all shit like that. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if there was like some big motorbike accident or just something crazy went down over the weekend. So just be careful if you're into any of those sorts of sports and things. Not the best weekend for it. I think with this Pluto-Venus opposition that it's really important on the weekend to be focusing on love and to be focusing on the best sort of energy that we possibly could be, having compassion and just trying to, like I said at the start of this, having fun is really crucial this whole week. It's really important that we're allowing ourselves to be playful and allowing ourselves to be a little bit silly and to like I said, stand-up comedy. And I said that in my new moon in Cancer reading, but like watching some funny shit and just allowing ourselves to be silly and to not be so serious all the time. Literally, I'm hearing, why so serious? Like, why so serious? Like, let's just be a little bit silly. Let's have some fun. Focusing on the fun is going to help us to focus on the positive elements that are still all around us. And even if the world is like, you know, feeling like it's crazy and there's all this stuff going on, there's still so much positivity around us that we can hold on to. And it doesn't have to feel as though like, you know, everything's gone to shit and everything's futile. Positivity and comedy and love and laughter and connection and fun and play is the number one thing that is going to help us heal this planet and that's going to help us to move through these times without losing our shit, because it's really tough at the moment, you know. So just having that like playful attitude will take you further than you could ever have even imagined. This is needing to be in an energy of looking forward to the sunshine that comes after the storm, because there is always the sun that has to come out after the storm. You know, the sun will come out eventually. And even if it doesn't look like it's now, today, tomorrow, this week or next week, maybe it's not even going to be till next month. Maybe we need to wait till summer. But summer does always come, you know, winter does not last forever. So it's really about understanding that and knowing that even though things might be hard right now, it's not going to be hard forever. So the best you can do is to take care of you and to always be prioritizing your heart and your soul and prioritizing what you need in order to be the most healthiest, happiest, most high vibrationally functioning human that you can be. And that's going to look different for every single human on this planet. And so understanding that and accepting that difference within you and honoring that that's where your superpower is, in your uniqueness. You know, that's what Pluto and Aquarius is. It's celebrating our differences and our uniqueness, and Venus in Leo is shining in that uniqueness. You know, nothing lasts forever, nothing good, nothing bad. So, you know, the wheel that's up has to go down, the wheel that's down has to go up. So even if things have been really great, at some point things are going to turn. If things have been really shit, at some point things are going to turn. So just know that everything is changing. Like I said, astrology is cycles, life is cycles, everything is cycles. You wouldn't even be here without a woman's cycle. So just remember that everything is a cycle. It's going to feel extremely enticing to lose ourselves in drama with this Pluto-Venus opposition, but that is just not the road to go down. Don't let drama get you with her juicy little claws, you know. If you're feeling like you need a little bit of drama, watch Bridgerton. Go watch something silly. Go watch a soap opera. Go watch Bold and the Beautiful. Go do something other than creating actual drama in your real life, especially in your relationships. Don't be starting fights. Don't be, you know, feeding into egos and all that sort of stuff. This is being emotionally intelligent. And, you know, with the moon being conjunct the south node, opposing the north node, and connecting, sextiling in with Jupiter. Trining in with Jupiter, see, every time. It really is about, like I said, talking things through and talking and having, you know, conversations with yourself, but maybe even like journaling through some of your emotions and some of your feelings that are going to be coming up over this weekend, because there is a lot that's going to be coming up. So instead of like reacting and maybe getting in fights or arguments with anybody around us, it's about channeling that energy into something productive or something that helps us to understand. Telling a story, writing a story, listening to a story, reading a story. You know, stories feel really, really important with this Jupiter in Gemini. So just make sure that you can, even telling your story to yourself, like, you know, writing your own little short story about you could be something that really helps you to find clarity, you know, in some of this chaos. That was just a really random little suggestion that came through, but that's going to be for someone. So if you really like writing and story writing, then, you know, do that for sure over the weekend. Okay, and now, my loves, we get to Sunday, which is actually probably one of the biggest doozies of them all, purely because we have the moon opposing Chiron in a T-square with the sun in Cancer at 22 degrees as the sun begins to square with Chiron. So it's definitely feeling, it's a bit of a cardinal T-square that is feeling as though we're seeing where things are feeling a little crusty. Crusty is the word. I feel like we're going to be feeling a little crusty on Sunday. The world is feeling tumultuous, and so are we. It feels like the best thing that we could be doing throughout this energy is to be leaning on the people that we love and the connections that are closest to us. It feels as though we're seeing very clearly at the moment how every human on this planet is wounded in their own very special little way. And, you know, this in our own lives could look like, you know, just seeing family members who are all dealing with their own sort of things, friends who are dealing with their own issues, but also like looking out into the world and then seeing like wars happening here, and this is happening here, and this is happening here, and just all this wounded energy, you know. The moon being in her opposition with Chiron while she squares the sun and in Cancer, it's saying that like there's a family wounding that's coming up for so many people, and it feels as though for the people that are on Earth at the moment, healing the lineage is one of the most crucial things that we could be doing. It feels as though this is our lifetime, humanity's lifetimes, to begin dealing and healing through the trauma of our ancestry and to the trauma of even getting to the point that we're at. You know, any human, any one of us that exist on this Earth have had thousands and thousands of ancestors that have come before us in order for us to even exist right now. I could not exist right now here if I didn't have thousands of ancestors that had come before me and that have had to brave out life and had to tough it hardcore for me to exist right here and now in this version of life in this time. So it feels as though Sunday is like a really profound day where we're kind of looking at that reality in a way, and we're seeing very clearly how we're all, you know, it's almost giving me this compassion because we're seeing where we're all actually a little bit fucked up. And if we realize and we look at people and we stop judging people on this thought that they need to show up and be a certain way, and we start looking more at people from the lens of they're doing their best with what they have and who they are and what they learned, then maybe we can find a more compassion for ourselves, and we can find a way to start working with each other in this life instead of working against each other, if you know what I mean. Because it's really only through love that humanity can actually find true liberation. Literally only love. Hatred only creates more hatred. Love only creates more love. So the only way to actually heal humanity is to love it unconditionally. And I suppose that's what Venus in an opposition to Pluto is, isn't it? Learning that in order to save and rescue and help heal humanity, we need to love humanity, every fucking ugly ass inch of it. Because humanity is ourselves, and what we hate in another exists also in us. And I know that like that can sound ridiculous, especially when there's so many fucked up crazy people out there doing really crazy shit. But at the same time, like, all humans are capable of really fucked up crazy shit, depending on the situations that we are put in. So it's all about understanding that each human has its own trajectory, its own path, its own karma, dharma, and connection with the divine. And so as humans, we're not here to judge that. We're here to love through it. I truly feel as though the biggest, like, end to the age of Pisces, the liberation that we're actually going to receive, is that we don't need to be judging and dividing ourselves through religion. We need to just be unconditionally loving one another, because Pisces is spirituality and unconditional love and compassion. So anyway, that's just a little bit of a rant there, but it's relevant. The absence of love and compassion leaves humanity dull and lifeless. So without Pisces, we have no Virgo, we have no actual reality, because without love there is no ability for life to even continue functioning, because humans wouldn't even exist, because humans come through love. They should, the majority of the time. Anyway, you guys know what I mean. It just feels like a really powerful week of understanding our purpose in humanity. that's why I'm kind of getting so existential on this shit. This is us really connecting with and understanding what we're needing to shift and change and to become in order to be able to bring in this new wave, this new version of life, you know, this new age of Aquarius, this new humanity. The old systems are dead, they're dying, they're gone, and so it's time to embrace the new life that's coming up for us. And so in order to do that, we need to be extremely aware of where we've been failing to nurture and nourish ourselves and our families and our ancestry and our lineages, and where we've been really failing to see the bigger picture, and we've been focusing more on our egos than we have been on society, and we've been focusing more so on ourselves than we have been the earth, you know. It feels as though this week is a change in how our hearts are being called forth to be in service of humanity. It feels like this is the week where it's like you're being called forth, and even though you may not be jumping into the service right now, but the call has been made, and this week you commit to going towards it, you commit to honoring it, you commit to jumping in, you know, getting your hands dirty. I just literally saw Steve Irwin jumping on a crocodile. So, you know, it's like, it's not going to be easy to tame the beast, but you got to jump on top of that beast to tame it if you want to heal it and save it. Use this energy, use the intensity of this energy for good, for creation, for positive momentum, for building, and for seeing potential, for absolute opportunity, and for complete connection with a version of your reality that you didn't even deem possible as past versions of you. Like, we've talked a lot about Jupiter and Gemini in 2012. That version of you back in 2012 couldn't have even fathomed the version of you that exists now. So now is this version. What can you now start to imagine with your big dream goggles on right now? You know, with Venus in Leo opposing Pluto, it's what is the big happiness? What is the true happiness? What is the true heart's desire? What is the true heart's calling? You know, that is what is really being called into question this week. And on Sunday, you're going to be feeling like it is absolutely crucial that I start to work towards this healing element inside myself, and to start working towards being the healer that I am. And not saying that you need to like become a healer, but I feel like each human that embodies their true essence and follows their authentic blueprint and their heart in this life becomes a natural healer for the people that they encounter anyway. So that's what I mean. Commit to a path and understand that you can only ever meet the universe halfway. You can only ever put in your heart and your soul, your energy, your intention, your action, all of that stuff. You know, you can put in your heart and soul. The universe has to meet you the other end of the other end of the stick, you know. So do as much as you can, but understand that there is an element of this that you cannot control. You cannot control the outcome. You can put all the time, the energy, the work into something, but you cannot control the outcome of it. And that is very much, you know, the moon opposing Chiron and Aries wanting to be in control of the outcome, wanting to know what it's going to look like, even with Mars now at 25 degrees of Taurus, and now really starting to make his conjunction with Uranus. He really wants to feel valued for the energy that he's putting out there in the world, but is the energy being expended in a way that is actually conducive to long-term goals and effort? This is where you're needing to you know, surrender that you can't grind yourself to death. You know, this is about, and why we're in Cancer season, it's about learning to nourish and nurture ourselves and to nurture what's really important in life. And how many people spend their whole lives working their asses off only to get to their deathbed and to regret that they didn't spend any time with their family. So this is about being really clear on not being something or someone like that, and being really clear on who you want to be at your deathbed. You know, it sounds shit, but it's true. Think about that. Not thinking about that stuff is what's going to keep you stuck. This is a week of profound internal significance. Things are really looking up, but they're looking up because we're starting to shift and change internally, and we've been doing the work on what we need to be giving ourselves. We've been doing the work with actually nurturing and nourishing ourselves and giving ourselves, you know, the motivation and the energy that we actually need in order to get forward and to move forward and to actually make changes in our lives. You know, taking care of our physical needs, our emotional needs, our spiritual needs, our mental needs, everything. We have needs in all these areas, and this has really been a week of needing to tend to all of those different areas, and it's been overwhelming, but it's definitely been a week of seeing clearly where the mess is being cleaned up. It's just happening slowly and over time. You know, slow progress is progress. things are looking up. We can get through this. We are seeing this week that we really can get through this. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It's just that that tunnel is motherfucking long. Close your eyes this week and connect in with your heart when the world is feeling too loud. Venus in Leo this week is really going to have us connecting back in with this heart space and to honor the joy. Joy comes from the heart. Fun, love, life, it comes from the heart. The heart is literally, isn't it the most important organ in our body? Pretty sure without the heart, the brain doesn't work. The heart has to pump blood to every fucking thing in our body. So without the heart pumping that blood, without your heart being fulfilled, you don't have the life force energy that you need to survive. And that's very much, Aquarius is cold. So it's about bringing the heat back to our lives, bringing the heat back to our energy and the heat back to our desires and feeling passionate and, you know, heated and worked up and excited and motivated towards who we are and who we're becoming and the purpose that we have and the blessings that we're here to bestow upon this earth, you know. You will find peace in the heart this week. You will find peace with the heart as the sun moves towards Leo, but as Venus sits in Leo and Mercury sits in Leo, we will find peace in the mind, in the heart. Laugh, sing, play, take a break, watch some comedy, give yourself a break when you need one this week, continue to do the work that you need to be doing, keep building, but know that things are going to be changing and shifting left, right and center and that nothing is going to go exactly according to plan this week. So don't expect it to. Have compassion and have grace for yourself as you're navigating the intensity of every single aspect of every day this week, because it's not going to be just a simple week where it's like, oh yeah, you know, nice day on Tuesday, nice day on Wednesday, all is well, all is well. It's really a week of intense passions and intense realizations and epiphanies and dichotomies and just so much going on that we're really needing to take in and to really breathe into our bodies. You know, we're needing to digest it. So especially with Mars moving into his conjunction with Uranus, this is us being like hit with lightning strike opportunities and with big changes and shifts that could come in, positive or negative. And so it's us needing to be grounded in our ability to deal with changing energy, you know, standing strong. I just heard standing with standing rock. So it's, you know, if you don't want something to come through and to have the ability to take away what it is that you value and that you care about, then you need to stand strong in your conviction and you need to stand strong in who you are and your ability to maintain you know, a level of wherewithal in what it is that you're trying to progress towards achieving and becoming and doing, because it feels like there's all of us have something that we're really this week feeling we really need to get into action, that we need to get going, that we need to get you know, out into the world, that we need to get started underway, you know. And it feels as though compassion with yourself as you make these changes and as you work towards this is literally the key. So playfulness is everything this week. It's the best way to deal. You know, they say laughter is medicine, so use laughter as your best medicine. Okay, my loves? Well, that was definitely a little bit longer of a reading than I wanted it to be. Still, an hour and a half though is not too shabby for how much I actually can talk. We did just go through the whole week. So do make sure to check back in with this reading throughout the week if you're feeling like checking out what's going on for you in any specific days. Do let me know down below in the comments if you have any feedback, if you have any suggestions, any video topics you would like me to explore, any astrology questions, anything like that. I would love to hear from you. Do give this video a like if you enjoyed it, because it really helps to spread these readings to more beautiful other astro nerds like you and me. If you would like to book a personal tarot or astrology reading with me, you can do that down below through the link in the description box. I would like to thank your angels, your ancestors, your higher self, your spirit guides, all the beautiful benevolent beings that are surrounding you and I in all moments, for allowing me to receive and to deliver this message to you. Make sure that you check out your channeled songs for each day of the week, as well as the Cancer new moon horoscope that just went up, because that's going to give you a beautiful little insight into the new moon that we just had and what that's kind of going to be entailing for us over the next month cycle, but over the next 6 monthly cycle. And it's also going to build you into some preparation for the Capricorn new moon, full moon that we're going to be having next Sunday as well. So there will be a Capricorn full moon horoscope going up shortly, as well as hopefully a little fun pick a card that I'm going to get some time to film over the next few days. So I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.